Hello, I'm Judy O'Hara, and welcome to Paint Along with Judy. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for joining me, and let's get right to it. Okay, hi there, and today we're going to paint some tulips. Now, this particular tulip painting that I did is a watercolor. Hope you can see it without the glare. We're going to do it on watercolor paper, but we're going to do it in acrylic. This is the acrylic version of it, and it looks so much like the watercolor. So that's what we're going to do today. Now I have Arches 140, a tablet of Arches 140 watercolor paper, and that's what I'm going to paint on. So I don't need to do anything with the background, just going to paint the tulips. The colors I'm using today are Americana Black Plum. I have Deco Art Leaf Green, Chromium Oxide Green, Scarlet, and Cadmium Yellow. Also a teeny touch of black, the brand of your choice. Okay, I think that's all the colors that I use for this. So let's get started. I'm not going to be real particular what brush to use, but I'm thinking right now I got a filbert, which is filbert cat's tongue. I don't know if you can see. Okay, and I'm going to start with the green heart. So the stems they're so small, I don't think I need to wet them. And this is not a watercolor, it's acrylic. So it doesn't really need to be wet. So I'm just gonna base coat that stem in very quickly. Okay, and I got a little outside of the line. I'll show you how to correct that. I wet my brush, go right along there and pick that paint right back up. There we go. Okay, with watercolor, you've got to skip around. You can't paint anything that's right next to each other, but you can when you're painting with acrylics. It'll be just fine. So I'm going to get those stems in. Now I put my pattern on with graphite. Even if you draw your own, you should probably transfer it on with graphite paper, which looks like, draw the pattern like so, and then use the graphite paper to put it on. And always make a tiny little mark and check and make sure that you have your graphite on the right side, because everybody I know just about has put it on the wrong side before, and it's kind of a pain if you go all the way through and realize, oh my goodness, I'm on the wrong side. So, and we're going to shade and highlight these. So I'm keeping my paint fairly wet. Like I said, I'm not necessarily wetting the paper. You can a little bit if you want to, but you don't have to. And I've got 2 containers of water, one to get the paint out of my brush and one just to dampen the brush that I want to keep a little bit cleaner. Okay, this part right here that's turned, you can't tell too much about it right now, but I'm going to darken that. I'll probably darken it all the more because it's underneath. It's a turned petal, turned leaf, and so it's going to be darker. Actually, it's going to be a little bit darker right there too, because it's underneath, and a little bit darker right here because it's underneath that. And by darkening underneath, I don't want too much paint though. It gives the illusion, by darkening it there, that it's in shadow and that it plants it down underneath. So now I'll go right back to my leaf green and blend those two together. I'll do more shading and highlighting in a little bit. But right now, this is just the underpainting. Okay. Now this part of this leaf's underneath too. You see how when I add that dark right there, and be careful that you're not using too much paint, just a little bit goes a long, long way. Automatically, it puts it underneath, and it's okay to have a little bit of both colors on your brush. In fact, I like that. I'm gonna wet it down a little bit, smooth it out. I like having the two colors, but just don't get too much paint, and that's what I've noticed so much with new painters, that they just want to get a whole gob of paint on their brush at one time, and that's what you really don't want to do right now. This part's, I want it kind of lighter, so I'm going to actually grab a little tiny bit of that yellow and put in there, that cadmium yellow. Still got that green on my brush, that lighter green. I'm going to go ahead and wet this. I don't know if you notice, I usually pretty much always blot my brush as I go along. I got that pencil mark pretty dark right there, and I'm not crazy about that. Those pencil lines are kind of hard to cover up, whether you're working with a light acrylic or if you're working with watercolor. Those graphite lines can be hard to get rid of sometimes. So I should have taken something and softened that, pulled it out. I've got a, can't think of what you call it right now, but I'll think of it later and tell you what the tool is, but it'll lift it. Kneaded eraser, I guess. That's what I want to say. There's other things too, an oops eraser or a kneaded eraser. Okay, and I normally start on the left because I'm right-handed and work left to right. Kind of did it backwards today, but no matter. Now this is a turned petal here. Do you see that? So therefore, I'm going to make that darker right there. Picked up a little bit more water. And I'm pressing down, press. There we go. And this petal here, let's see, I'm not sure how, I've got just the opposite on that other painting, but this painting I'm gonna do it this way. But anyways, I will go ahead and I'll post these and link the pictures as well as the line drawings so that you can use them, download them and use them to do your painting. Okay. And like I said, it's not watercolor, so you can go right next to it. And I'm going to darken right next to that stem a little bit because it's just to show that it's behind the stem. Just soften that out. Now this is the turn part. I'm going to make the inside darker. I want the darkest dark. You could even add a touch of blue here if you want to in these, but I'm trying to keep the color palette simple, so you really don't need many colors. Okay. I think I'll pick up a little tiny bit of yellow even over here, and that's going to help to lighten that. Just be careful, like I say, you don't get too much paint at one time. It's harder to take it away, easier to add more. Got on this a little bit, but that's okay because I'm going to paint that anyways. And like I say, I normally paint left to right. I normally would have had that painted first. I don't know what's the matter with me today. But I haven't done one of these videos in a while, and I apologize for that. But the reasoning is my husband was in the hospital for a bit, and he had a back surgery and had to stay a bit, and he's recovering, and we've kind of got a little homestead going on here, and I have chickens and lots of animals, cats and dogs, and just a lot of things to take care of myself on my own. So I'm gonna pick up a tiny bit of black with that dark green. So it's you know, been keeping me busy, and he's my cameraman anyways. So I had to wait until he felt better well enough to come and help me get a new video. And I have some really good things for you. I hope that you will subscribe and follow me, because I do honestly have some very interesting things, or things that you all might be interested in. My kitchen, well, I'll have to take pictures and show you what my kitchen's like, but I'm going to redo my cabinets and countertops, and I have some columns that come down that are big columns that I'm going to, I have them looking like green marble now, and I've had it that way for a good while, but I'm going to make them look like black marble. And I have several different things I've done in my house to look like stone and different things like that. And I could show you all, if you're interested, how I did that, and demonstrate how you could do it if you'd like to. Another thing I'm working on is, could be dark right there because it's under that, is we're going to have a permanent train display. So I'm working on a backdrop for that, and I think I could have hubby film a little bit of that painting. I really hate, you know, when I'm doing a great big huge painting and in the process of doing it, to show it, but I might. It's a work in progress, and so we'll see what happens with that. Get a little lighter here. That petal goes up here and here, and I'll get to that in just a second. But you could make these, you kind of twist and turn if you want to, if you have the right brush. My tulips are getting ready to bloom. I don't know where you live, what neck of the woods that you're in, but my daffodils are about gone, and the tulips are coming up now. Okay, let's pick up a little bit of that darker green. I don't want to get my petals of my tulips. I can't wait to get going on those. Those are such fun. And I hope that you're enjoying this project, and that you will paint along with me, watch it, and then play it again. Download the things that you need and paint it along with me. Okay? So there we have the green parts. I should probably add a little tiny bit of white, if I have any. This is a dark titanium, but that'll work. A white, anytime if you get something that's like a pencil line that's too, just, you're not really covered up, a white will get rid of that. And I'll come back on that in a few minutes and paint that. But I didn't want to put like 10 coats of green on trying to cover up. Well, same thing with this over here, this side. I think what I did is I didn't have it in there and drew it in with my pencil. But now on these tulips, I have this color here that's called a black plum. I love this color. We'll put a little bit of that in there. Be real careful with it. You don't want to get too much. It's a really good one to use for shadows. Black Plum. It's some Decor Americana paints. If you're looking to buy some. And sometimes you can get it at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I can't remember where I did pick that up. But where these are in shadow behind, you can also put a little bit of that purple in there. And let's see. I've got this one painted a little bit different than the other one. But that's okay. Sometimes I draw them up just a little bit different. So, you see there? I'm getting that covered up. But the red that I do the tulips in, the scarlet, I might pick up a little bit of that, but notice I said a little bit. I'm going to wipe my brush and try to get rid of some of it because I don't want too much of it. I just want a little tiny bit of maybe the reflection of that tulip down on those leaves, and maybe a little red violet or something maybe here as a cast shadow or something. Just creates some interest. Just create some interest. Anyways, you can come through and shade and highlight as much or as little bit as you want. I'm not going to do too much. Whoops, got a lot there. What I said not to do. I think it's the wrong color too. I don't want to do too much because, you know, I could work on these all day, make them really pretty, whatever. But this painting's about the tulips. Okay, went out of line again here. Like I said, you can go in there, pick that up. There we go. Take your damp brush with clean water and mop that up. Okay, I'm going to do the tulips. I'm going to start with the one on the left, like I should. And I'm going to start with the petal on the left. And I forgot to draw this little thing here. That's the problem with that pencil's very, very dark. And I don't have my magic eraser with me. Let me see if I can get rid of some of that right now with this. I'm going to try it and see, because it is kind of dark. Yeah. Yeah, the parts I drew with the pencil went too dark. The graphite lines are light. Okay. There we go. Now you can kind of see both. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wet this petal here on the left. Tap my brush on my paper towel so it's not dripping wet. Okay, and I think at the top of it, I might just tap in just a little bit of that yellow. And yellow and red, as you know, will make orange. And so I'm going to tap in a little bit of scarlet. Tap it off of my brush. I don't want gobs of paint. I don't want it to look like it's an oil painting right now. And I can get heavier over here. I'm going to be heavier here because this is going to be behind this petal. Okay. And when you darken your edges also, darkening my edges, it will give you the illusion of roundness. And just like in watercolor, I can kind of lift out some of that paint and let a little bit of white show through. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do on that one right now. Now the inside of that, I think I might add a little tiny bit of that black plum with my scarlet and get really dark right there because I want to get rid of that graphite line. That's for sure. And this is all right behind. So I'll go ahead. And you notice I'm using very little paint. And I might come up here with some of that yellow here in a second, put a drop or so of that in there. But I'm working kind of quickly. a tiny bit of yellow, and I mean a little bit. Just tap it in. I can come back. And the thing about acrylic too, if you don't like it, let it dry, reapply. I'm not going to worry about wetting this because it's a very small part, and I want to keep it dry, keep very little paint across the top. Wet my brush and I can lift some of that out, and I could put a little tiny bit of yellow up there in the tips of it. There we go, but I don't want much of that. Just like over here, I'll come and rework it maybe later. Okay, I'm going to work on this middle petal. I think I'll wet it just a little bit and pick up a little bit of that scarlet. And notice I'm not just getting it and putting it in there, getting rid of some of it and softening it on my paper towel. I always blot on my paper towel. And sometimes I'm so glad that I did, because sometimes I have way more paint in my brush than I anticipated. Okay, like I said, I want this part to be underneath that petal. So I'm adding a little bit more paint, keeping it hard line over there, softening this edge. I also want to put some around this edge, darken it, and I can come back to that to make it have that rounded effect. Okay, I need another paper towel. This one's getting so messy. Sometimes the colors on your paper towels are so pretty. You could actually almost use them as an art piece. Ha. Okay. This last petal on here. Oh, I'm getting a bloom on here just like a watercolor. I didn't know that would happen. Okay. Just kind of wiped it out. All right. I'm going to just dampen this one just a little bit. So just in case I get too much paint, it won't be too harsh. Tap it on my paper towel. And I like to always keep my painting close by so I can look at it. I may not totally follow it, and this is going to be darker also because this petal's on top. Got outside of the line. Oh no! We'll see if I can get that up. Might make it worse. There we go. There we go. I got it. It's still kind of running, so maybe I shouldn't have wet that. In this one, I don't know if I've dropped water in the wet, but it's kind of reacting as if I were painting with a watercolor. So I'm going to have to go over it. But like I said, with the acrylic goes through an ugly stage, and you can always let it dry, reapply, until you get it just like you want it to be. But I'll come back to this tulip, and we'll make it beautiful in a minute. But we have this fun one here next to it that's very, very, I want to say ripe. Opened. It's very open. I think I'm going to start with this petal here and keep it fairly light. So I think I'm going to add some yellow to it. Not much, but a little bit. And give it sort of a, I don't know if you can see that, a peachy color. See? Just give it kind of a peachy color, especially right up there, okay? And this one comes right on around like this. I'll pick up a little bit more of the scarlet down here. Okay. And then there's, I guess, this is part of that petal that's folded, the inside of it. So I will go ahead and have the scarlet, but I also want to add a little bit of the black plum to it because it's in shadow right there. If you don't have a black plum, you could get a dark purple and add a little tiny bit of black to it just to get a dark color like that. You don't always have to have the exact colors that I have. Okay, this is a turn petal. Let's do the outside first, and I'll do that light peachy color. I'm not gonna wet it. Just gonna paint it that peachy color. And always, when you have a turn petal like that, you want your darkest dark against the lightest light. Oh goodness, this table's on a slant, and I'm getting the colors running together that I don't want. I get my red and my green run together, and I'm gonna have a gray, because they are opposite colors on the color wheel. I normally have a little, like a TV tray or a stand here to keep the paints palette on one level. And that works a lot better. I'm gonna have to take a spot of the red over here that doesn't have the green in it. Okay. And this one, I got a lot of paint in that brush for some reason. Try to get some of it out of there. Because I don't always like to paint it. I like to have an underpainting. I like to paint in layers. So it doesn't always look so beautiful right at first, okay? This back one I think I'll wet just a little bit. I'm wetting it and I've got red in it, so. And I'm covering up those little black stamens, but it doesn't matter. All right, I'm picking up some of the red with the black plum and just a little bit of the black plum. I just want to do it a little bit darker right next to that, just to show this petal is behind. Soften it out over here. Don't have a hard line over on that side. Now we got another little, almost like a little heart-shaped petal. I think I'll wet it first so you can see it. See there? I have a little paint on my brush, but I wet it first, and now I will pick up some of that scarlet color, but I don't want too much. Look at my picture over there. But this is behind once again, so I'll make it behind right there. I'm gonna make it behind by darkening because it's in shadow if it's behind. Now it's not behind over here. The other one there is behind it. And it's got a turned petal as well. So what I'm gonna do right off the bat is pick up some of that black plum with the scarlet, tap my brush, and put that behind, this whole thing behind. Okay. Now on the left-hand side of it, I'm going to mix some yellow with the scarlet and kind of give that a nice peachy color. Keep it softer. If I get too much paint it looks like an acrylic painting, and I'm trying to make it look more like a watercolor painting and feel like a watercolor painting. So I can lift some of that out if I need to, and even let a little bit of the white of the paper show. All right, this is that dark part that's in shadow. Darkest dark against the lightest light. Now I just pick up some of the scarlet. I don't want too much paint in my brush. There we go. So if I need, I'm side loading my brush, meaning paint just on the one side of it, the other side's water, and one side's paint, and come down and soften that, and then you see that that petal is behind. Okay, now here, and I don't know what I got going on here. Looks like I have another pencil line. I'm going to ignore that. I can't really erase it. I could if I got up and got my magic eraser, but I think I can just cover it with paint. But it's going to be behind again, right here. And, well, and right here. So that part's got the purple, and I walk it out on, I'm just going to put my red on, and then I'll come back and work it. Because you can put all your red on and then come back and side load and put your, see, this is side loading, coming up against it, getting just a little bit. There we go. And putting that darkness in. Okay. We'll do that over here too in just a second. All right, I'm gonna get me some of my red scarlet, and I'm going to put this petal, this part in. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave my red right in my brush, and I'm just going to side load with that dark. Now my paint's, it's starting to drag because it's starting to dry out a little bit. If it starts to drag, you need to dampen your brush, touch it on the paper towel. Okay. And I also want it to be like that over here. And I need to soften that edge right there just a little bit. Okay, darkest dark, lightest light, if you want the contrast. So what I'm going to do is pick up a little bit of the yellow with my scarlet, get a nice, soft, peachy color. And put that in. Now pick up a little bit more of the scarlet because I don't want it peachy all the way through. It's just on the tip of it. I put some scarlet. And I can see a little bit of the light from the paper. Gonna leave it that way. Now we have another leaf there. I think I'll do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and, I said leaf, I meant petal. I'm gonna go ahead and wet that. Whoops, this, just a second. Fix that. Okay, I wet that, and it's really kind of light right over here and darker over here. So I will start over here, and you can see it's lighter than the one behind it, so it's gives you that contrast and puts that behind it. Now this is behind, so because it's behind, I'm gonna go back to the petal that's behind it. Just a little tiny bit of darkness there. It was pretty light, so I mainly just used the red. I didn't really need the purple. Okay, we got one more petal to do, and then we can look and see. I need to fix that one and see what we might need to do. There's a couple shading and highlight things we need to do. So this, I'm gonna wet the inside. The inside is the darker part, and get a little bit of the red. I want to be careful because red can be overpowering, and it is a transparent color. So anytime I'm painting something black and I want to put red over it, I do some white, because otherwise it could take you so many layers to cover that because it is transparent. So now I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow, yellowy orange, because this is lighter, and it shows that it's turned. I might need to put another coat on it, I don't know. We'll see, but I've got to come back to that, and I'm going to let it dry for a moment while I come over here and dampen this one just a little bit, just a little bit. And as I look at my original picture, it's much more yellowish at the top. So I will go ahead and add a little bit of that. Oh, I'm out of line over there. I think that's too dry. I probably won't be able to pick that up. I'm going to try though. The only other thing I can do is touch it with a little white or make my tulip a little bit bigger. But it happens, that's why I don't really like wetting sometimes, because sometimes it causes it to run a little more than what you want to. And I wasn't really paying that much attention. Usually I do, so that that doesn't happen. Okay, this is the top petal, so I want it lighter. All the petals, all the rest are behind this. I'll go back to this one. I don't know how much of the dark I need, but I need it darker than the other. Hard line against there, and I'm going to soften it just with water. Soften it out. Okay. That's looking prettier. I do need to take a little bit on the edge though. I'm touching my paper towel, touching it and brush on the paper towel because I don't want those outside runs. I'm working right on the outside of the tulip, and I want it to be a hard line there, soft line inside of the tulip. Okay, and that puts darken the knees, especially around the edges, puts the other one on top. I think I'm going to expand my tulip just a little bit there where I went out of line. Just a little bit, because it was wet. There, that took care of that. Ah, my kitty cat's down here, come to say hello. Hi, Elsa. Only got 6 cats right now. It wasn't by design, believe me. Okay, these two are underneath. They look kind of not so pretty right now, but we'll change that here. Little tiny bit of paint, walk it out. And I could pick up a little bit of yellow. And I hate that this table was on such a slant. It's a drafting table, and it works great except for with paint. runny paint, and I usually use this thick full body paint and it doesn't matter. And I forgot that I was using some Americana liquid acrylic, so makes a difference. It sure does. Okay, this petal back here, oh, wait a minute, let me just touch the bottom of this for just a second. That's a lot of paint. And I went out of line again. Like I said, you can get it up. There we go. Or you can make your tulip a little bit bigger, but be careful. You don't want them expanding too much, right? Okay. But if you want to mop it up, you do have to have clean water. Okay, right here, that black plum, I take some of that with the red, and I want to jiggle, jiggle, jiggle a little bit. And if you do get too much water, that's when they will run outside, which like you do not want it to do. So be careful on the water. Okay. Let's see what we've got now. Okay, that's going to be underneath that petal there, so we need to actually drop that down just a little bit. Put that behind just a little bit. There we go. Now, these tulip stems, I'll talk about these for just a second. Right underneath the flower, the stem is going to be darker. There. Okay, so I darken that a little bit. You could even put a little tiny bit of the plum in with it. It's always going to be a little bit darker right under there. Now I see a couple petals here that need some work, and that's the thing with acrylic. Usually it takes a couple layers. Now, when I'm not working to look like watercolor, I work in a lot of layers, and it can end up looking very much like an oil painting when you layer it, and I like that. But I don't want the painting to look washed out either. Wanted that orange on here, that's what I was wanting. I like them to look vibrant and pretty. So whatever you've got to do, if you need to do another layer, that's fine. And you don't have to have the white of the paper show like you do in watercolor, but it's kind of nice if you do. Okay, I'm trying to, oh, I see. Sometimes it's hard to figure what's what on that, what goes with what petal, especially when they're all floppy like this. But I want to show you also those little stamens. We'll get those on here in just a second. When I touch, blot the water, blot the paint on the paper towel to make sure that I don't ever have too much. Okay, those little stamen, I might be able to do with this brush. Pick up on just on the corner a little tiny bit of black. Okay. And that's really basically, I'll do another one. Just a little touch. Maybe we'll have some that show up down in here. why not, right? Why not? So anyways, I think that's just about it. You can work this and work this. Just knowing when to quit is a good thing. But I like to add this, a little bit of dark right at the bottom, so the lightest light's touching, but the whole thing, it's not all exactly the same color. You see, like here and here. Still see a pencil line there. Anyways, I hope that you have enjoyed this, and will be painting along with me, and will join me next time. Please subscribe, hit the bell, and to get the notifications, and I'll try not to be so long in getting the next video out to you. And leave a comment. Let me know how you like it, if you tried it. Excuse me. And what you might want to do next. Keep those brushes moving. Thank you. Bye-bye.